1, 2, 3, 4.
For everyone's safety, Vermont requires a 7-day home quarantine with a negative COVID-19 test, or 14 days with no test to visit this winter.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
We're also recommending you take the time to do some extra squats, lunges, wall sits, or high knees.
24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
With reduced lift and lodge capacity, you're going to have a lot more time to spend on the slopes. So take the time to get your legs ready.
38, 39, 40.
Vermont in winter. It's worth the wait.
1, 2, 3.
This winter, plan your trip. Don't trip up your plans. Talk to your favorite inn or resort about smart travel suggestions and reservation policies. For full COVID-19 travel guidance, visit VermontVacation.com.
16, 17.
Save your most important documents, videos, and photos in the cloud. With a Microsoft 365 subscription, you get a full terabyte of secure OneDrive storage that you can access across all your devices. As part of your subscription, you get the added benefit of additional OneDrive Personal Vault storage. Using a second set of identity verification, this gives you an extra layer of protection for your most important and private files. Buy now at Microsoft365.com/memories.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. All right, man. We live, man. We live.
What's up?
What's up? What's up? Okay, everybody. You are tuned in to Cigars with Mac podcast. I got a special guest on. Good friend of mine, brother of mine, been friends for over 10 years, man. This is the man that kind of inspired me as far as up in my technology game, you know. But today, we're going to discuss, is everybody qualified in the workplace? My good friend here, name is D. You know, like I said before, he's a technology professional in the IT game. So we're going to discuss a lot of interesting topics as far as not only the IT game, but as far as in the corporate world, how there are a lot of unqualified people and so-called qualified positions. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all, you know, you've been at your job or you've even applied to other companies or you have your own business, you know, and you trying to place those bids and you sitting back like, man, damn, I know I'm meeting the government requirements. I know I'm meeting the customer requirements. Why are they not picking me as a vendor? Or you at the job, you know, you got your degree, you got your experience, you got certifications, excuse me, and you're probably like, why am I not getting hired for this job? Or you at your current employer and you sitting back like wondering, thinking to yourself like, why is everybody getting picked over me? And then when you talk to that person, they tell you those magic words. They gave me a chance. And you wondering to yourself, well, hell, why didn't they give me a chance? I've been with the company 5+ years, 10+ years. How did this guy come from overseas, can barely speak a lick of English, and he's in the position that I wanted? And on top of that, he doesn't even have the experience. I mean, he may have the degree, great, but he doesn't really have the experience that you have with the company. So today we're going to just have a nice little conversation and let you know that it's not you. Don't trip. You are qualified for the job. You do have the degrees that they're looking for. You have the certifications. You have the years of experience. You went to the right college. You're in the right fraternity. You are in the right sorority. You are a veteran. I mean, you got all the boxes checked. And you're seeing that a lot of people at your job, they're really unqualified. And what really gave me the idea to do this show is because my good friend here, he's been telling me this for years, and I guess I really haven't been paying attention. And then I watched the video, and the guy was telling me, I'm sorry, not particularly me, but he was telling the audience, which I was a part of the digital audience, watching this video, and he was basically saying that there are a lot of people in these roles that are not qualified. In fact, they don't really know anything. And a lot of these people are foreigners coming over here. I mean, straight up taking our jobs, man, but they're not even qualified, and today we're going to discuss that. So D, man, we're going to dive right into it, man. I mean, like I told you before, when I called you today, man, I had an epiphany, and I was like, wow, man, this is what you've been telling me. And especially, guys, we're talking about the IT game. The IT game is a little bit different than a lot of industries. You can actually put IT up there with engineering. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just different titles, in my opinion. And the reason why I've talked to so many people, and they told me, I've met people that got bachelor's degrees, master's degrees in technology, systems engineering, computer science, and they're like, man, I've been applying for this job, but they keep telling me I'm either, the word they love using, I'm overqualified. Now, I like to know, how in the hell are you overqualified for a job? Or they tell you underqualified. But then 6 months later, that job you applied for, you see somebody from East India, Asia, Africa, and you're like, what? I'm an American. How are these foreigners coming over here, making six figures? And then when you talk to them and you ask them about their knowledge, yeah, a lot of them may have certifications because they're good test takers, but when it all boils down to it and you really look at their knowledge, you find out these people don't know anything. And at the end of the day, and I know that these people got the job because they straight up lied. So D, man, man, how do you feel about that, man?
Well, I work for a few corporations, and I've seen this a lot where you will find a lot of the workers who are foreigners will come and get these jobs and will not have a clue of what to do. And the only thing that comes to mind when I see that is there are a lot of qualified Americans here that can fill those roles, but they're not given to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times you have guys who have a great background, and sometimes they are forced to take jobs that do not challenge their skills. And they end up being underpaid and working, in a role that they really don't want to be in. But just to make the ends meet, they have to take it. But you got people who are in great positions, man, and they are getting paid a lot of money. And like I said, they're not qualified. They're not qualified, but they are given the benefit of the doubt. And I kind of hate to, I guess when you look at when you look at it from a racial standpoint, a lot of times when hiring managers, they see like an Asian, they automatically just, the stereotype. Oh, they're real smart.
Correct.
Or, saying that they see the Indian, oh, he's real smart. The African, he's real smart. But when they see us, the African Americans, then it's kind of like I don't think you have the intellectual capability to do this job.
Yeah.
So you best believe when you see a black person in these roles in corporate America, they're more than qualified.
They are.
They're more than qualified. And the crazy part is that when you're working on these jobs, you'll find that people will come to you and try to get information out of you to see what was on your resume that got you hired. It's almost like they don't believe that you belong there. So let's see what got you here. Hey, hey, what school did you go to? Or what certifications you have? Or they'll just come out on break and try to talk technology with you and ask you questions. And my first job, I kind of fell into that, well, I'm gonna prove to you that I need to be here. So, you ask me some and this is not a manager. This is a regular worker like me. And he's like, do you know how to do this? You know how to do that? And I'm like, so I kind of fell into that trap with trying to prove myself. But then after realizing the grand scheme of things, I'm like, whoa, this guy didn't even question me. He didn't hire me. So I quit doing it. Yeah, so I quit doing it, So I started saying, what got you here? Which I know what got him there, a lot of them. But I quit doing it, and you'll find out if you took their resume. Okay, if I was black and I had their resume and I came to that company with it, there's no way I would have got hired.
Yeah. There's
no way I would have gotten hired if I had their resume. Walking to a corporation. So my resume had to be above board to get the position. And then when you look at the qualifications of these positions, and they tell you, straightforward on the websites, okay, we need you to know this, and this, right? Now, are you going to get 100% every time? Probably not, but the corporation is looking for at least, okay, if you know 80% of it, we can teach you the other 20%. Because we understand that every corporation, every company does things a little different. They may not have this particular technology, but we believe that you have the ability to learn it. But when you talk to a lot of these guys, they don't even have 80% of their working knowledge. A lot of the basics they do not have. But they are constantly leaving one job, going to another job, and getting paid more and more each time they change job.
That's correct, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. Today I did a little field work, and there was a particular job that I was looking at. And the manager is East Indian. I don't know if she's from Pakistan or Mumbai. I don't know where she's from, but I know she's from Southwest Asia. Well, anyway, I went in and saw her leader, which was the same ethnicity. And then that manager, I went to look who worked for her, and there was a few of her own race sprinkled in there. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's an accident. It's not. And you spoke to me. You've been telling me this for years, man. And the brother that I watched on YouTube, he told me that a lot of the East Indian, they hook each other up. And I'm telling you right now, the jobs that they're doing, these people are making no less than $150 a year. No less. And I looked to see if there was anybody who looked like me in there, and I couldn't find it. I Google searched it, couldn't find it. It's sad because I've been noticing this, that they do that. And if you and a lot of people say that what's the word I'm looking for? Nepotism is not, it should not be going on, but it is. And
it goes on a lot.
It goes on a lot. And like I said before, I work as a project manager, and I'm trying to get on the technology side and eventually be a cybersecurity engineer on that side. And I'm seeing that this is really kind of a tight network. Would you agree?
It is. And I have a big background in telecommunications, so service providers, basically. So it's a small network, and you'll find out that you'll leave a job and you'll run into someone that you worked with a few years ago. It's just like a big circle that everyone goes in. And so everyone kind of knows everyone, but the good old boy network is in place. But the problem with IT is that when it comes to us, the African Americans, we are underrepresented. So there aren't a lot of us sitting there, and those who make it, and some of them who even go up to the managerial levels, they will not look out for their own people. But you will find other races, they'll bring their own people in, and like I said, they'll say, "Well, what you don't know, we'll teach you. Come on in.
That's right.
We're gonna get you started. Us, it's an uphill battle, and then once you get in, you know, they kind of want you to walk on pins and needles, you know, kind of like forget who you are type attitude, you know, and they want you to kind of conform to their way. And what I mean by that is, like, they want you to go to happy hour with them and hang out, and when you don't do that, then they look at you kind of like is he antisocial, or he don't like the people that he works with. But my thing is, I come to work to work.
That's correct.
I go home to play.
That's right.
You know, so there's I have I draw a line in the sand there. You know, I just come here and do my 8 hours. I don't need to see you after work. I got other things I need to do. Yep. But then but that puts a stigma on you that, oh, well, he's not a people person, or, you know, and then your name starts, you know, gathering, this bad, you know, you start developing like a kind of, not really a bad name, but, you know, they kind of look at you not like a team player, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I've been criticized even just for the stuff I've eaten at lunch, because I don't eat what they eat. You know, okay, no, I don't eat this, and I only eat this. And then there's all these questions. But here's the thing that got me was that we had people from India who had the same diet that I had. But no one questioned them. That was crazy to me. You know, every day I got to ask, why you only eat this? Why you only eat that? But they ate the same thing, but no one ever questioned them. In fact, the company, when they actually ordered food, like, we used to get breakfast every Friday, and from time to time, they were even catering lunch. But it had to be, I guess you can kind of say like a kosher meal. Like, you couldn't have no pork, you couldn't have no beef. I think it was something else that they excluded because of the workers there. So they had to kind of make it to where everyone could eat it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, man, the sad thing about that, man, is that I've personally seen, and like I said, I'm not on the technical side, right? Well, actually,
save your most important documents and photos in the cloud. A Microsoft 365 subscription gives you a full terabyte of secure OneDrive storage, plus an added layer of protection with OneDrive Personal Vault. Buy now at Microsoft365.com/photos.
my job that I do is classified as technical, but I don't work on the. I don't particularly. I'm not actually on the. How should I put it? I'm not classified as a technical specialist. If that makes sense to you. As far as technical, yeah, I deal with a lot of programs that I on the soft as far as I'm the operator. But I'm not in the back scenes developing the operations, testing it, developing and testing it and upgrading it for the internal customer, which would be other employees. And again, man, we as a people, we are highly underrepresented, And the thing about it, like I said before, this manager, I looked her up, and I had a feeling I was gonna see that, and I did, and I was like, wow, this is really for real. This is not a joke, man. And does anybody find this to be problematic? Because even for the organization that I work for, you would think as big as it is, it would be opportunity. I mean, even one of the executive management put out on our company newsletter that he needs to hire close to 300. I've been telling people 600, but I need to retract that. It's actually 300 global cybersecurity engineers, and he said that they're having a problem finding qualified people for the jobs. And in that article, he also said, from what I interpreted, that they're going to have to just start training people. Because it's my opinion, and I've seen this so many times, that a lot of these kids come out of college, yeah, they have the degrees, they have certs, but they don't really have the experience because they've never had a job. Yeah, they do internships, but let's be honest, man, they're not going to allow an intern to really touch heavy classified proprietary software. That's not going to happen. They're going to have the intern going to get coffee, go to Starbucks for everybody, okay, go file these papers. But as far as touching that proprietary software, that's not going to happen. So that's how I know when they hire the college kids, they're not qualified. That's one aspect. And then when you break it down to a young, how should I put it, non-black, hell, even a non-white person. And like I said, when you look at those roles, it's heavily saturated with East Indians, particularly from Southwest Asia. Particularly Southwest Asia. That's where you find them at. I think it's Southeast Asia, I'm sorry. But you find them in that region of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, Japan. Like you said, it's the stereotype, man. And I'm here to tell people, I've worked with people from that region, and they're no more intelligent than Americans are, and they're damn sure ain't more intelligent and qualified than a lot of blacks Americans are, or African Americans are. And so when it all boils down to it, like I told a young lady, I told her she's highly qualified. When I say she's qualified to do cybersecurity, she is beyond qualified. I told her, hey, let me be the first to tell you, you are qualified. But the key is somebody has to give you a chance. That's just what it boils down to. Somebody has to say, I'm gonna give this individual a chance, because if you go from one technology company to the next and you have this experience, did you have to get trained?
When I left one company, I went to another company, and the role was a little different, even though I had some experience with it. But a lot of the technology that they used, I had to come up to speed on it. In fact, the company was good enough to actually give us, I think we had a week of training. So before we actually touched their equipment. And the same thing, even with the first company, we had a little training. So some companies are good like that. They'll actually give you some training, so you won't just go out on the floor with no idea. They kind of want to show you how they want it done, and this is the technology that we use, and this is how we're doing our network. You know, can you pick up on that? Yeah, I can pick up on that. You know, and then another thing you have to do is even beyond work, a lot of times you have to go and do a lot of self-study also.
That's right.
But a lot of companies will actually give you training documents where you can read through and kind of see how they're planning and how they're maintaining their network. But the thing is that when it comes to IT, like when you mentioned like cybersecurity and software, those are two areas where there are a lot of jobs and not many people, well, at least they say there aren't many people that can fill those roles, right? So at one point, I even thought about switching over and taking on one of those technologies, because I'm like, well, the jobs are plentiful, but here it is, I would have to start from kind of like ground zero again, in my opinion, because I have no experience as far as, you know, working with those technologies. As far as on my resume, it doesn't reflect anything as far as cybersecurity or like a software engineer or anything like that. But they hire people for software engineers who have, I guess, no formal training. They just come in and from what I'm told, they give them a test, and if they can pass the test, you know, they give you a test and say, okay, they give you like a requirement, and they want you to write the code for them. And if you can do it, a lot of times they hire you.
Man,
from what I was told, I'm not sure about that, but that's what I was told.
I'm gonna tell you, man, it's getting so bad now that Google now is creating programs for high school students that they're basically training them from high school on the Google platform, training them up, internships, apprenticeships, and pretty much hiring high school kids out of high school, man. Even Google is the #1 search engine. Yeah. And next to Microsoft, I work with one company that use the Google platform for their business side. That they use the G Suite platform. And even I use the G Suite platform for my domain, for my email, because it's easy, it's simple, it's just plug and play, man. And the price, you can't beat it. Now I'm pretty sure at the enterprise level it's a little bit more expensive. But man, Google, they figured this concept out now. Now they get it. Because at the end of the day, man, these kids are going to college, getting these degrees, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm pursuing my master's degree as we speak right now. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to touch the software. You have to be able to have someone sit down and teach you how to code. Yeah, you can do self-learning on your own and learn how to code and create a project and present it to the employer. That's great. But what about that person that, you know, financially, that they don't really have time to go to school for that? They're in the financial bind right now. They need to feed their family right now. And I understand, yes, we're in America, the greatest nation in the world. Yes, you can start your own business. But at the end of the day, man, some people want to work for a company, a corporation. There's nothing wrong with that, because they want to learn those tools. You know, if you want to compete against the next business, you got to know how the business game, the corporate game is played. And it's getting that bad that Google's like, man, we got to just get these kids out of high school, take them to these programs and train them. I mean, you have colleges that a lot of kids are applying for, and Google also has a program for colleges. And please don't quote me on the high school thing. I know I saw that somewhere. I can't remember. So if you can't find it now, please don't charge it to my head. Charge it to my heart. But I watched a video of a young man, and he applied for a Google program in college, and he got accepted. And they taught him interview skills and things like that. And now this kid is in a PhD program in computer science. I mean, the kid is sharp, you know, and that's good. But what about that kid that doesn't want to go to college? Because it's apparent now that technology is something we all have to do. I mean, people don't realize it. We're technically, a lot of people are technically savvy and don't even realize it. They just, it's so normal now. It's so normal for you to use your phone and use your fingerprint and text and things like that. I remember it was a time where people had the cell phones with the QWERTY keys, and nobody texts. They didn't. A lot of older people, a lot of young people my age, they didn't believe in no text messaging. But eventually, you get on board. Then I remember when they got with the touch screens, and I was against touch screens. I didn't like it, but eventually, I came on board and started using touch screens. Now, damn near every phone is touchscreen. You are held to find a phone that's not. So that's what I'm saying. And think about it, man. Technology nowadays is a skill. And people say that AI, you know, will replace jobs by 2030. And I really don't see that happening. But I do see our culture being more heavily emerged with technology. I mean, it's only going to grow. And the thing about it, man, I watched a professor online, and he was saying that pretty much, you know, everyone should know some type of programming language. Just know it. Like people know foreign languages, people should know programming languages. And I totally agree with that, you know. And the thing about it, man, a lot of these corporations, man, at least the one I'm at, they speak of, yeah, we need to train people, but the people in those managerial positions are not following the company, I don't want to say memorandum, but the company culture that they want to push. Because I've even heard one lady who was a CCIE, she said when she interviews people, she says she likes the person that says they want to learn. But when you go on these interviews and tell them, hey, I don't know, but I want to learn, you are immediately disqualified. So I'm confused about this, man. 1 minute you say you want the person that wants to learn, then you say you want the people with certifications, but then when you hire this guy with all these certifications and he don't even know how to turn on a computer, you got to be like, what? Why did I hire this guy? So, you know, it all boils down to, and even me on the project management side, I see a lot of people, man, coming to different industries, man, and a lot of them are not qualified, man. You know, they are just not qualified, and I have no problem with that. But I've worked as a contractor on the contracting side, and I talked to the permanent employees, and one guy straight said, he said, look, I don't mind you lying on your resume to get in. He said, but when you get here, I need you to want to learn and work. And my thing is, why is more people in leadership not understanding of that? Because every company does things differently. I mean, I've used SAP again as an operator. And in SAP, certain I don't want to say codes, but certain like functions in SAP for one company, one thing that's popular is MD04. MD04 for one company may be another function. Well, then for one company, MD04 may be another function. And that's what a lot of companies don't get, is that they'll say, hey, we want you to have SAP experience. Okay. Well, I have the experience on a production side. This guy has SAP experience on a developer side. This guy has SAP experience from a testing side. So my thing is, what do you want? what do you people want? Because you're not clear. And then, like I said before, even when you hire me, you still have to train me, and you have to give me. There has to be a learning curve. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, you're gonna run into a learning curve because technology is so broad. It's hard to know everything. And like I said, a lot of companies do things different. So you may know a lot, but you still have to learn how to do it the company's way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest learning curves right there. I've worked on jobs where I thought that I'm like, man, okay, I see what they're doing right here. Okay, I get that. But then they'll have something that you have never even seen before.
Mm.
You know, like one of my jobs, you know, because I'm mainly routing and switching. That's what I first came in doing. But I got a job where they not only did routing and switching, you had to learn how to do voice. So I had never touched voice before.
Mm-hmm.
Had learned how to do voice. I had learned how to do what they call transport.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me get another job though.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that in addition to the routing and switching that I knew, they had a twist to it. So I had to learn some more about that. So that's the one company that I can say that helped me the most. And that's the one who gave me a shot that said, you know what? And now maybe it was because of the interview, you know, and to be honest, when I went to the interview, because I had been in interviews before and, you know, no callbacks, you know, stuff like that. So when I went to this interview, this is exactly what I did. And I had the mindset already like, you know what? I don't even know why I'm going here. These people ain't going to hire me. So when I got to the interview, you know what it actually made me do? It actually relaxed me because I didn't have no expectations. You know, the other ones I was all rigid and, you know, and was, you know, a lot of things going through my mind and when they asked me a question, I was kind of really like, in a way, I was overcomplicating. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving these old drawn out answers to them. And when I went to this interview, man, they asked me something, and I tell them, and look at them like, okay, next. Like, I know the fuck I'm, you know, like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, you understand?
Yeah.
And but like I said, I was so relaxed, and next thing I know, I got an email, and they gave me sent me an offer letter. And this is another thing I learned. When they sent me the offer letter, I was so happy to get the job. I didn't even negotiate.
Yeah.
I just signed it and sent it back. I said, I take it. I just wanted to get. This is how much passion I had for it. I just wanted to get in because I never even thought I would ever.
Your morning commute typically takes 25 minutes. If a 400 cubic foot dairy truck spills 2% milk on the freeway, causing you to take a detour and get stuck at a drawbridge for 20 minutes, how late will you be? Don't know? Well, good news, you don't have to, because Waze knows. With real-time traffic alerts from real Waze users, your ETA is always up to date. Waze. Download and drive today.
Save your most important documents and photos in the cloud. A Microsoft 365 subscription gives you a full terabyte of secure OneDrive storage, plus an added layer of protection with OneDrive Personal Vault. Buy now at Microsoft365.com/photos.
Work in corporate America, to be honest. Coming from my background, I thought that would never happen. Mm-hmm. And what it did to me though, it kind of let me down. It really kind of disappointed me once I got in there and I saw what was happening in corporate America. I'm like, this is not what is normally portrayed to be corporate America. This looks more blue collar than white collar.
Ooh. Ooh. Man, you said a mouthful right there.
And when you work around those people, you like, man, how in the hell did you get in here? Who hired you? You know, and is it start? I don't want to say give you a bad taste, but you learn to accept it for what it is, opposed to what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with me. So I know there's a lot of the treachery that goes on in corporate America. Like I said, it's the good old boy network.
That's right.
When you look at the demographics of it, it's normally middle-aged white men.
Mm-hmm.
It's very few blacks in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the blacks that are in there, they are well qualified.
And I'm gonna tell you something else. And also the blacks in there are usually from the Eastern Hemisphere. Am I correct?
Exactly.
And that is something else I see a lot of. And like I said before, we are not complaining. We're just telling the reality. We're going to give the realness of this because that's just what it is. Because I'm telling you, man, I personally see this stuff on the project management side. And also, I want to go back to something else you made a good point about. And this is something I experienced as a contractor. And I'll never forget, prior to me contracting, for the most part of my civilian career, because my guest and myself we met in the Army. And, when I got out the Army, it didn't take me long to find a good job and a good paying job at that time. But that first job I had, I was a union for 6 years. I had been laid off. I was called back. But the thing about the union, what the union taught me was a person should always have a price for their time. That's what union taught me. The union taught me when you work a job, you are saying, okay, I agree to $40 an hour, $30 an hour. This is what my time is worth at this corporation. And something else it taught me was to know how to separate between work and play. Now, the thing about the union is you need some good people. And a lot of times, some of your union brothers and sisters, y'all are actually cool outside of work. But the salary game is a little bit different. And especially at this particular company, I wasn't salary, I was a contractor. And one of the things that they do is contractors is this company is steady evaluating me. And once I saw that I didn't want to be there, I didn't want to quit. And I guess one of their tests was they had one of the managers in the business area we worked for, and she came down and she was like, okay, we're going to go out to eat after work. Number one, being a union man, that's a problem with me. And in my opinion, I'm still a union man. I still am. Because number one, I don't do anything with people for my job for free. If we're going to hang out, we're going to hang out on the clock and I'm going to get paid for it. That's the first thing.
Exactly.
Number two, when I saw that, okay, this is an evaluation. This is a weeding out process. Out of all the good that I had done, I taught this company, you would think this is a Fortune 500 company, but I literally taught them about branding. When they would when they would send things and ship things to certain event to this particular customer, I told them, hey, we need to create this paper, put our logo on it and ship it because number one, it shows relevancy. Don't just ship packages and okay, that's it. Take pride in your brand. And this is what I learned from this big company that I used to work for. Branding, man, branding is everything. Number two, after I did not attend that lunch, I pretty much, I already knew, okay, they're not gonna hire me. They hired a woman who was in her 60s just to keep from hiring me, which was fine. But the thing about it, if we run the data, if we do actuary science, actuarially hiring her was actually a big mistake because she's in her 60s. She may give you 10 years, maybe. And this particular employee told me she knew nothing about the industry. I had more experience than anybody in the room about that particular industry. But I just believed in separating work and play. And that was a problem. Now, where I'm at now, unfortunately, which is crazy, I'm back at the organization that I started at. If you don't hang out with coworkers, it's not a big deal. Nobody judges you for that. People have an understanding that, hey, I have a life. We can hang out at work. We can eat lunch at work on the company's dime. But when I leave this place, we're not hanging out. That's not going to happen.
No.
Because number one, I'm not here to, and my thing is when hanging out with coworkers also, is that I don't want to know how you are outside of work. I want to keep that positive presentation of you at work. I don't want to know that you're an alcoholic. I don't want to know that you have a porn addiction. I don't want to know that you are into, God knows what. I don't want to know that side of you. And a lot of times, that too is a test. Believe it or not. They'll, like you said, happy hour. The first 5 drinks on us. That's a test because they want to see how do you act. And something else, I don't like going over a leadership house because I don't want to see how you, again, this is what I'm saying. I don't want to see that side of you. I have a leader.
Exactly.
And we went to his house for Christmas last year. And I normally don't do that, but I just wanted to, I said, let me see how this cat is. This guy is an alcoholic. Straight up, through and through.
Yep.
And I was like, what? So I was highly disappointed because now he's vulnerable. But luckily, believe it or not, on the salary side of my job, salary usually won't blow in other salary. Like, if it's an incident, they try to tell you to handle that amongst each other. We don't want to get each other fired. So that's the beautiful thing about it. But man, I'm telling you, man, I so agree with what you're saying, man. I just, as Black Americans, we are highly underrepresented in corporate America. We're highly underrepresented on the IT and engineering side of these companies. And what I always tell people always say, well, if you can't find a job, create a job. Well, goddamn it, I need money to create a job.
You gotta have some capital.
If this job is willing to pay me $80,000 to do a job, why wouldn't I take it? If you want to be so-called against racism in the world and you want to create a Black company, you have to learn how corporations operate. You have to learn how profit and loss operate, because a lot of people don't understand. The money we make on our job is actually usually a credit line from the bank that the company uses. And the thing about that money is the company don't really start seeing their money until the end of the year. That's when, the money start coming out, when the customer has bought the product, then that's when the company is out of the red. Now they can see the numbers and say, okay, last year we made 10 billion, this year we made 12.5 billion. Now we know where we stand, because up until then, until the third quarter, all that money is line of credit money. See, when you don't know and you starting businesses on your own with your capital and you using your money, which is fine, that's really not business smart. That's not really economically sound. It's really not. You want to use that line of credit and just pay it off every month, or like I said before. But a lot of people don't know that. And one thing, this successful business owner, he wrote a book, and he said, if I'm going to make mistakes, it's going to be on a company's dime, not on my dime. And when he said that, that was something that really made me look at the corporate world a little bit different. Does that mean I'm going to purposely fuck up on a job? No. But that company has resources and money, and they have so many tax breaks that your fuck ups really ain't hurting their profits or their bottom line. Because the average job, and this is what I learned, the average job, people don't really know this. I'm gonna give y'all a little secret. The average job gives you 6 months to fuck up. You get 6 months to really just fuck up. And after 6 months, if you can't figure that shit out, A, you'll be blackballed from promotions, or B, they'll either terminate you, or C, they'll move you around. You usually have 6 months to really get it right. And common sense, in 6 months, if you don't have a grasp of the job, then, I mean, can you really blame them? But if a company will come out and say, we're going to give you 6 months to figure this shit out, more people would actually stay there. They would have better retention, and they would have better credibility. But the average job not going to tell you that. They're either A, going to lie to you, B, when you are doing good, they'll never tell you doing good, or C, they'll just say this is not a good fit, or they'll fire you within that probationary period. And to me, that's really not ethical. That's very non-ethical, you know. But like today, I applied for a job last week. I reached out to the manager. I asked her was the job still available. She responded a week later, and she basically in a fucked up way was like, yeah, it's still available. Send me your resume and apply. Well, look, if she does give me a call, because, you know, sometimes the tone of a message can get fucked up in emails, and people really don't mean it like that. But the email says it sounds like they're really being disrespectful, but really she probably didn't mean that. So if I do get an interview, you know, I can judge her tonality, and if I'm not really feeling it, I'm gonna tell her, ma'am, you know what? I'm really not interested. I'm not interested in working for people that pretty much don't want me to be here, or they're just hiring me just to fill a body. Like you said before, I need my skill set challenged, because if you're not improving, and here's the thing, if you're always getting jobs you know how to do, you'll never get better. It's not going to happen. You're never going to get better. Sometimes you got to get jobs that really challenge you mentally. You have to do that to get better. There's no way you're going to get better by keep doing jobs you know how to do. You have to get a job. And that's why I say they have to give people a chance. And they have to stop hiring people based off their ethnicity, because they believe that stereotype. Because a lot of times those stereotypes are not always correct. And like I said before, that's one reason why I had to have you on the podcast today, because you told me about this stuff. You've been telling me about this for years, and I finally saw it, and then I went and researched it for myself and was like, wow, this is really true. And I don't think it was a coincidence that within her peers and amongst her leadership, all of them are pretty much from the same part of the country. I don't think that's a coincidence. I just don't. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I know if you find 4 or 5 people who work in the same department and work for the same manager or senior manager with the name Ali or Rafiki or all those last names, okay, yeah, these people know each other.
A lot of times they give the, like I say, the other ethnicities, they'll give them a shot. You know, they'll give them a shot. They give them the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to us, a lot of times we have to come in already qualified or overqualified. And when we do have people of our ethnicity in higher positions, the ones who make it there, they don't want to have anything to do with you. You know, and I've I've had this personally happen to me. Guy I've been knowing for years. And this was before I was even in IT. And once I got into IT, and I just happened to run across this guy, wasn't looking for him, just out and about, ran into this guy. And at this time I was in between jobs. And we got to talking. He's like, man, what you do now? You know, because I hadn't spoke, you know, I had left, so I hadn't spoke with him in a number of years. So he's like, what you do now? And I started telling him. He said, oh man, you're in IT. He said, man, at my company right now. Now granted now, keep in mind, this guy is a senior manager. Not just manager, senior manager. This guy said, man, I'm gonna pull you in. So I gave him a quick, you know, brief synopsis of my resume. Hey man, I got this. You know, I've done this. Boom, boom, boom. You know, we basically chopping it up, and I'm telling him, you know, about my experiences, what I've achieved, and the reason why I'm in between jobs. It wasn't no fault of my own. It was because of a restructure and the company got bought out. So, you know, that was that. And he said, man, I'm gonna pull you in. So next thing you know, so I give him my email and all this kind of stuff. He said, all right, hey, go here and sign up on the website. Fill out for these jobs. I'm finna tell you what jobs to apply for. Did it. Now, during the time we had our conversation, there was this one cert that you're supposed to have to even work for the company. I already have it. He even told me during our conversation, he said, man, we got people working for us who do not even have their certification, and it's actually a requirement to have it within 6 months of working at this company. And there's been people there for years who still never gotten it. I said, I already have it. It's up to date, man. I'm thinking I'm in. Applied for like 3 jobs that he told me to apply for. He said, you'd be a good fit for these jobs. Yeah. And guess what?
You got the job?
No, the man told me, he said, well, we end up going with a more qualified candidate.
Wow.
I said, wow. Now, one thing I know for sure about senior manager, they can hire whoever they want to hire.
Sure can.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen quite a few times. So I'm like, okay, like I said, I was trying to figure out why sit here and tell me that I'm gonna pull you in. I got you. You already know my character.
That's right.
You've been knowing me for years. Why make me go? And then you tell me to apply for these jobs. And there's nothing in my background that's wrong. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what was it that made you say that you're gonna go with a different candidate? Why even make me go through all of this?
That's right.
And then I end up having to apply for another job, and I end up getting that job. But I'm like, why make me do this if you knew you weren't going to hire me from the beginning?
You had no intention to even hire me. That's right.
And at the time I had my clearance was still active, so I had everything to work there, and and it's like, this is a black guy. I've been on jobs where black people will walk past you and won't even speak because they fear of how it looks to other people. Like we're not supposed to, I guess, communicate and talk to each other, and we're not supposed to be friends. And I even had a white guy ask me, say, "Man, why don't you and such ever hang out?" I just said, I don't know, dude. You know, he don't really talk to me, and I don't talk because he don't talk to me. I don't talk to him.
That's right.
You know, I one time I tried to talk to him, and he kind of brushed me out. All right, you know, hey, okay, you ain't got to take it no further. Cool, you all right? That's okay. You know what I'm saying? I understand that you probably don't want them to look like we friends and whatever, we hanging out, and now we're, I guess, because a lot of times you get the stigma of like, I guess, anger. You know, I guess they don't want you to I hate to say it, kind of like the slave mentality. You know, they don't, you know, the ones that keep you kind of divided. You know, even J. Edgar Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover even said that his biggest fear was black people uniting.
Wow.
So there was a lot of things that were put in place to keep blacks from uniting. And I think that mentality, man, amongst us, it still exists. That a lot of times that they plant the seed, but we perpetuate it, man. We keep it going.
We sure do.
You know, because we're afraid to make it look as if we're showing any kind of favoritism towards our own people.
That's right.
But there's so favoritism towards their own people in your face, and dare you say anything about it.
And
that's the sad part. They will show you nepotism, put it in your face, will not even hide it, and you better not say nothing.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That is so correct, man. That is so correct, and that's why I say, man, nepotism is alive and well. And no matter how much people so-called audit, you know, these corporations and try to find out is that still going on, it is alive and well. And my whole thing is this: don't preach diversity if you really have no intention on really being diverse. You know, and that is something that's really not going anywhere. And that's why I told that young lady, I said, you're going to have to the way you're going to get in is either A, I said, you are qualified. B, somebody has to give you a chance. That's just what it boils down to. If you don't know anybody, somebody got to give you a chance. And you can't take it personal. You know, I know, there was a time where I applied for this job, interview for the job. Then I get the email that tells me another qualified candidate. So I emailed the director of HR and basically told him, you didn't hire me because I'm black. And I said, I'm going to tell you something else. You probably hired somebody that already worked there. I said, and my whole thing is this: why did you even interview me to begin with? You wasted my time. I said, my time is valuable. Why did you?
Well, I found this out from someone who worked in HR. They told me this. They said a lot of times, even though they kind of know that they're going to hire from within, they still by law have to post the job. And I think at times they just do an interview just to cover themselves, to say, okay, we brought some candidates in and they weren't qualified, so we hired this person in case it comes back. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about that either, but I think it's has to do with as far as ethics. They have to. I know for sure they have to post the job publicly, so that everyone can get a shot at it. So they can say that we tried to find the best match for the job. But even though they're going to hire from within, they already know this, and they do it all the time.
They do it all the time, man. And that's the problem, man. Like I said before, I've noticed whenever I see a black person, African American, Black American on these jobs, they are more than qualified. In fact, they usually overqualified. And they're usually underpaid.
That's true. Now you're right about that. That's the part that really gets me, is because there'll be a guy with no qualifications, hardly no experience, and they're bringing him in at the same level as you. So you're in the same, as far as the pay, you're in the same bracket, right? So this level pays between X amount and Y
Mm-hmm.
amount, right? That's how much you can make before moving to the next. So he's making the same amount as you, probably even more. He's probably at the top of the bracket.
Mm.
And here it is, you're having to show him how to do his
Mm-hmm.
job.
Mm-hmm. And I know my particular field. I know what I'm worth at this level in my career. But sometimes what you are worth isn't always what they're willing to pay. Or they'll tell you, well, you can work as much overtime as you want. Why would I want to work more hours than what I'm already working to make what you, why would I, instead of you paying me, like right now in my career, I'm 33. I have a lot of experience. There's no reason why I can't command a base salary of at least 110. Why? In the project management world, I have the experience, I have certification, I know the lingo, I understand, I know constraint management, I have the soft skills, I have the technical skills. There's no reason why I can't command 110. But if I command that price, I usually command myself out of a potential offer.
Exactly.
So I can usually bid about 30 to 40,000 under that, because I know what they'll try to do is let me work the overtime to make that amount. And my thing is, the thing people got to understand is in the corporate game, and don't get me wrong, I put in a lot of hours. Even at home, I was getting calls on my cell phone today, and I'm at home and I'm off today. But I can't tell my customer, hey, I'm off work today. Luckily, I was in my office today, and I said, you know what, I'll answer the phone and help them out. And that's what I did. But, will I get credit for that? No. Not at all. And so that's where my complaint is that you say you want people, you say there's a shortage of people in this particular industry. The industry we're speaking of today is IT. But then when people apply for the job, you tell them, well, hey, do you know this? No, I don't know that. Well, you know this? No, I don't know that either. Well, we got to go on with other qualified candidates. And man, it's really disheartening. I mean, I used to get so many interviews with no job offers to the point where I started rejecting interviews. Like, you know what, I don't, and who knows, had I took those interviews, one of those jobs may have actually hired me. But I was so frustrated that to the point where I was like, man, I'm tired of getting told no. I'm tired of this mess. So what I did was I left my organization and I went and got the certification that would make me more marketable. I went and finished my degree, even though I switched I did a complete 180 on the degree. And even my degree I have, when I try to go into that industry, I figured out real quick that they don't really want males working in that industry. They'll prefer females. That's something else too. But it was a lesson learned, And I ended up having to go back to the industry I started from, which is actually the industry I really love and enjoy. But my whole take on it, man, is that I really want people to know that you are qualified. Don't think you're not. It's not you. Don't get discouraged when you see foreigners in those positions that you want. And this goes out to my black and my white audience. I wanted people to hear from a real IT professional, a real network engineer, that it's not just you, it's all of us. And man, I really, 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 want to let people know, man, to just continue to we're going to end on this. I want people to continue to keep trying, keep working hard. And like you said before, when you got into the industry, you started out you didn't know about negotiating, but once you learn that job, that knowledge nobody can take from you. And I want to hear some of your closing remarks before we shut this show in this podcast.
Well, what I like to say is, I mean, for those of us who are either in IT or trying to get into IT, don't get discouraged. Stay on top of your technology. Even though you don't have a job, or in between jobs, whatever. Continue to study, continue to learn, even learn things that's outside of the scope of work that you may be trying to get into, whatever. Learn a little different, and learn something in different categories. Like learn something in security, learn something that's learn how to code a little bit. Even now with routing and switching, they started to incorporate Python in that. So it's always changing. You can't be stagnant. The only thing that is constant is change. So try to stay on top of everything. And once you get in, do everything you can to stay in. If this is what you really want to be at, but mind you, there's gonna be a lot of the stuff that comes up against you is not blatant. A lot of it is indirectly. You know what I'm saying? But they will try to discourage you a lot of times to kind of get you off your square. If you know what that means, right? So, but it takes a lot to restrain yourself a lot of times, because people come at you kind of crazy sometimes, or you just hate the fact that that people want you to prove yourself to them just in conversations a lot of times, and because they give you the impression that you shouldn't be there. How did you get there? So
that's something I want to touch on also before we end the podcast. When I got this project management role I have now, and when I actually got the job offer, and before I started the job, within myself, I told myself, how in the hell am I going to do this job? How in the hell am I going to do this job? Because pretty much everything was so blank and open-ended, and I felt like, man, can I really prove myself? Can I really do this? You're going to have those doubts sometimes. Sometimes when you do get that job you want, the best advice I can give people is tell yourself, I'm just as good as anyone. In fact, I'm greater. And understand that you deserve everything coming to you, believe it or not. And the best thing you can do is always be willing to learn, be willing to grow, and sit back like a tiger in a tree and just watch. And a lot of times people gonna say, man, why are you being so quiet? And you just let them know I'm observing how things are. Don't when you do finally get that networking job, that cybersecurity engineering job, that's it, whatever job it is, or if you got that, or if you're a business owner and you finally get that contract you want, that customer you want, and you're asking yourself, can I really fulfill what I promised? My answer to that is you can. And the best way you got to deal with it is one day at a time. So on that note, if you have any questions, if you have any show topics you'd like me to discuss, please feel free to email me at info@cigarswithmattpodcast.com. Again, info@cigarswithmattpodcast.com. And we can go from there. Like I told everybody before, we are building this platform up. I actually have one financial contributor, which is my mother. And I'm very happy at that because she enjoys she enjoys listening to the podcast. And the more people who keep, financially supporting, I'm gonna try to shout everybody out. But if I forget, please don't hold it to me. But It's just amazing that, in this short amount of time, people are tuning in. And I'm happy of that, and I'm humble. So with that being said, we're going to end this show. We're going to come back with another one. And everybody have a good night.
Skiing, riding, sledding, winter biking, winter hiking.
No matter how you Vermont, please Vermont safely.
Cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, snowman building.
This year, that means a 7-day home quarantine with a negative COVID-19 test or a 14-day home quarantine with no symptoms to visit.
Snowball fighting, ice skating, ice climbing, ice fishing, ice cream eating.
So we can all Vermont safely this year.
Dining, craft beering.
Talk to your favorite inn or resort about smart travel suggestions, reservation policies, and the best way to Vermont this winter.
Hot cocoaing, antiquing, shopping, fireside napping.
For full COVID-19 travel guidance, visit VermontVacation.com.
Save your most important documents, videos, and photos in the cloud. With a Microsoft 365 subscription, you get a full terabyte of secure OneDrive storage that you can access across all your devices. As part of your subscription, you get the added benefit of additional OneDrive Personal Vault storage. Using a second set of identity verification, this gives you an extra layer of protection for your most important and private files. Buy now at Microsoft365.com/memories.